I hope all of you are doing well. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Niladri Mukherjee. I'm a regulated Canadian immigration consultant. We are based out of Mississauga here in Canada. Let's try to understand the nitty-gritties of humanitarian and compassionate applications. A lot of times I get queries where clients request me to go for HNC process, and unfortunately they do not have a clarity on what are the grounds that they should be applying for, whether are they even eligible to apply for a humanitarian or compassionate application or not. So let's try to clarify or clear some of the fundamentals or basics, if you will. So let's have this understanding very clear that humanitarian or compassionate applications, or HNC as we would be referring it as in the course of this video, is not a shield. In other words, for example, if you're not getting your permanent residency approved under Express Entry or CEC, you cannot really say that, well, as an international student, I have paid so much of money and now I'm not getting a PR because of the high CRS. Please consider my case under humanitarian and compassionate considerations. No. But let's say if you are a refugee claimant, okay, so you came from, say, hypothetically any of the countries, your refugee claim was denied. Now you want to stay inside Canada because you genuinely think that you do fall otherwise maybe a definition within the periphery of a conventional refugee or the persons in need of protection. You can then apply for an agency consideration. If you are, say, otherwise criminally inadmissible from Canada, you're inside Canada and you think that, well, otherwise I cannot apply for a permanent residency under any of those programs, HNC may be applicable to you if you are not inadmissible under certain sections of the law. All right. So HNC is a humanitarian compassion applications are a very discretionary kind of application. It is dependent a lot on the discretion of the reviewing officer. It obviously goes in line with the regulations that we have under Immigration Refugee Protection Regulations of Canada. So let's try to understand some of the criteria that you must have to fulfill while applying for this agency consideration. The fundamental criteria is that you have to be inside Canada, living on Canadian soil if you have to apply for an agency application. In other words, for example, you cannot really say that, well, my mother, I'm not able to sponsor my mother, she is in, say, Philippines, I want to apply her PR under agency consideration. No, she will have to be inside Canada, for example. She will have to live on Canadian soil. The moment you step out of Canada, there is a high probability that your agency application will be null and void. So the time that it takes to process an agency application, you should ideally be living inside Canada. You should not be leaving the country. But let's say if you have received a removal order from, for your removal from Canada, you can request for a stay on that removal order based on that agency application. But whether the stay request will be accepted or not, it's the discretion of the officer. But you can still request for a stay on your removal based on the agency application. So agency is a very powerful kind of an application which need you to be staying inside Canada. So if your agency application is going on, please do not leave the country unless and until it's an absolutely super mandatory for you that you cannot really control, right? The other aspect is that even if you have a criminal history, okay, you are still eligible to apply for an agency consideration, provided obviously it's not really 834, 835 or 837, meaning that the criminality is if the criminality is due to like terrorism, human rights violations, stuff like that, you are not eligible, but otherwise you are eligible, right, to apply for an agency. That's something you have to keep in mind. Thirdly, the processing time. These days, as we are making this video in the first or second of February 2024, expect a processing time about 8 to 9 months after they send you the biometric request. So if you are submitting an application today, you will receive a biometric instruction within, say, about a month, sometimes 2 months time. From after you give biometric, expect about 8-10 months kind of a processing time if the file is being processed in the normal course of action. If it's a irregular file, the processing time could be very different, and absolutely there is no guarantee that your application will be processed within that 8-10 months that I have mentioned. That's just a standard. So you have to be patient, right? It could very well be refused, even if you think that you really fulfill all the criteria. Even if we make the best of the best application, because it's a discretionary application, there is always remains that probability that the officer is not happy with the submission and this application is getting refused. So you have to be very careful on that part, that checking all the boxes that otherwise requires you to apply for an agency does not mean that this application is going to be approved. It's not like an express entry application, for example. It's a completely discretionary application. Last but not the least, it's not for everybody. So do not just make an agency application if nothing is working out for you. I have said it multiple times, it's on the discretion of the immigration officer. And if you're making this kind of an application, you may be disqualified from applying for other PR categories, which may then be more appropriate for you. So before you jump on to apply for an agency application, make sure you properly qualify. Make sure you take the consultations from somebody who has worked on this kind of applications, right? For example, we as an organization, we have handled numerous agency applications. Obviously, not all of them were successful, but majority of them were. So we know how it works. We know how to satisfy immigration. We have worked on numerous cases. If you need our help with your agency application, you are more than welcome to have to book a relevant session. You can now come to our office in Canada after booking an in-person session. You are more than welcome. If you're anywhere else in the world, any other province, you're more than welcome to book a virtual session. All the links are on the website nuvonation.ca, and I think I will be able to at least put you in the right direction and to tell you whether agency is for you or not, and if it is, what are the steps that you should take. Hope this helps. Hope this clarifies some of the fundamental doubts that I see a lot about the agency applications, and hope this helps you to move in the right direction. Hope this helps you guys in the next one. Bye now. Cheers.